Romans 10:17 says, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Welcome back and thank you for your time. Today, let's talk about one of the most beautiful stories of all times. The crucifixion, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It's one of the most beautiful, dramatic stories of all times. It's also one of the most important parts of the Bible. Remember, the Bible is this wonderful love letter from God to us. The Bible is this amazing collection of books inspired by God, written by many different persons, kings, prophets, peasants, or simple persons like you and me. Today let's choose the Gospel according to Matthew. The Gospel of Matthew is a book written around 60 years after the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Matthew was a tax collector, a bad man, hated because he was spreading his own people. But when Jesus touched him, when Jesus called him, he left his despised occupation and committed himself to follow Jesus Christ. The crucifixion of Jesus. Crucifixion is the process where a person is nailed or bound to a cross. It was a form of capital punishment first used by the Persian, by the Egyptian, and then by the Romans. Normally there was a permanent stake in the ground. The victim carried the crossbar on his back to the stake. The crossbar usually weighed around 75 pounds. Sometimes the person was nailed to the crossbar, other time he was tied to it. Matthew 27:27.
Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall, and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers, and they stripped him, and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had plaited a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand. And they bowed the knee before him, and mocked him, saying,
Hail, King of the Jews, they said. In this case, the executioner used a whip called a cat of 9 tails, consisting of 9 leather straps, with small metal balls into the end of each tongue. So this whip was brought down with full force, and when struck against the back of Jesus, was pulled, exposing muscles and maybe even exposing his very bones. His back was reduced to a mass of mutilated flesh. The beating stops when it's determined that the victim is near death, or 39 lashes were reached. Why 39? Because 39 is the number of mercy according to the Jewish law. By this time, Jesus was in great pain and becoming very weak and thirsty. What is even more amazing in the Bible is that 740 years before the birth of Jesus, the prophet Isaiah predicted exactly what will happen to Jesus. Then they took off his robe and put his own clothes back on him. They led him away to be crucified.
Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall, and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers, and they stripped him, and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had plaited a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand. And they bowed the knee before him, and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they spit on him, and took the reed, and smote him on the head. And after that they had mocked him, they took the robe off from him, and put his own raiment on him, and led him away to crucify him. As they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. And when they were come unto a place called Golgotha, that is to say, a place of a skull, they gave him vinegar to drink mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And they crucified him, and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down they watched him there, and set up over his head his accusation written, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then were there 2 thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand and another on the left. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, Thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise also the chief priests, mocking him, with the scribes and elders, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him now, if he will have him, for he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also, which were crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying,
Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, This man calleth for Elias. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge, and filled it with vinegar, and put it on a reed, and gave him to drink. The rest said, Let be, let us see whether Elias will come to save him. Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. When the even was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea, named Joseph, who also himself was Jesus' disciple. He went to Pilate, and begged the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded the body to be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre, and departed. And there was Mary Magdalene, and the other Mary, sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day, that followed the day of the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that deceiver said, while he was yet alive, After 3 days I will rise again. Command therefore that the sepulchre be made sure until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come by night, and steal him away, and say unto the people, He is risen from the dead, so the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, Ye have a watch, go your way, make it as sure as ye can. So they went, and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone, and setting a watch.
Jesus has risen.
In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the 1st day of the week, came Mary Magdalene, and the other Mary, to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him the keepers did shake, and became as dead men. And the angel answered, and said unto the women, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come see the place where the Lord lay. And go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead, and behold, he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you.
Brothers and sisters, the crucifixion, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ should remind us Gethsemane, the Calvary, and Golgotha. Gethsemane is the garden at the foot of Mount Olives, where Jesus was tempted, betrayed, and arrested. The Calvary described the long, heavy, painful walk that Jesus endured with the cross on his way to be crucified. Golgotha is the place where Jesus was crucified, suffered and died. But the result of those painful steps is the empty tomb. It's so important to always remember that amazing story. The story of the Son of God who carried his own cross. That heavy cross represents the heavy sins of the entire world. That cross is the only ladder high enough to reach the heavens. That cross should always remind us that we are ransomed, we are redeemed, we are restored, we are renewed by Jesus Christ. The crucifixion, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ should remind us that no matter the problems, no matter the situations, no matter the pains we have, the result is always the empty tomb. Walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7.